Welcome back to Whispers in the Dark, the place where real-life nightmares, urban legends, and unexplained encounters come alive. Tonight, we're venturing into the ancient, shadowed woods of South Wales, where a late-night stroll turned into an encounter with something timeless. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next terrifying tale. Sometimes, a memory resurfaces, not with a gentle wave, but with a chilling tug, pulling you back to a moment you thought you'd rationalized away. For me, that moment was summer 2016, and it returned recently while scrolling through old photos. A sudden jolt of unease, followed by some research, left me genuinely unnerved. I still don't know what to make of it, but something about that night wasn't right. The setting was Porthkerry Park, a sprawling, heavily forested expanse in South Wales. It's beautiful by day, but like all ancient woods, it holds a different atmosphere after dark. My friend, Liam, was hosting a house party that evening. We'd laughed, shared stories, and as the last guests finally trickled out into the early hours, a peculiar idea struck us. Liam, ever the adventurous one, suggested a walk, just to clear our heads, he'd said, grinning. Despite the late hour, maybe between 1 and 3 a.m., a glance at the timestamps on our earlier photos confirms it. The idea held a strange appeal. So, with that kind of youthful bravado, fueled by a few drinks, we set off towards the park. The park was a short walk from Liam's house, and soon we found ourselves enveloped by the towering trees. The air grew cooler, carrying the damp scent of earth and leaves. A single paved road wound its way through the dense forest. And that's the path we followed, our phone lights casting wavering circles ahead of us, our voices echoing a little too loudly in the profound quiet. We were mid-sentence, probably debating some trivial party topic, when it happened. From the thick curtain of trees to our left, right beside us, a figure emerged. It was an elderly lady. She was deeply hunched over, almost bent double, her silhouette a gnarled question mark against the faint glow of our phone beams. She hobbled out of the woods, moving with a slow, deliberate shuffle, directly into the road, only a few meters in front of us. Liam and I stopped dead. Our conversation died on our lips. We couldn't make out her face. The darkness, combined with her severe posture, ensured that, but we could see enough. Her hair, or what we assumed was hair, seemed to be a messy, pale mass around her head. She walked right in front of us, taking her time, before slowly turning to walk in the same direction we were headed. My friend and I exchanged a quick, silent glance. There was no need for words. We were both seeing it. We were both equally bewildered and frankly a little freaked out. Our immediate, almost instinctual reaction was to act normal, to pretend this wasn't happening. We casually picked up our pace, attempting to pass her without drawing attention. She, however, said nothing. Not a greeting, not a mumble, nothing. She didn't even seem to acknowledge our presence. It was as if two young men, talking loudly just moments before, were completely invisible to her. Given how close we were and the noise we'd been making, it was impossible for her not to be aware of us. Yet, her silence, her absolute lack of recognition, was profoundly unsettling. Now, before anyone mentions it, yes, Liam and I had both consumed a few alcoholic drinks earlier that night. That's the only reason we were foolish enough to be out in Porthkerry Park at such an absurd hour. However, by the time this encounter occurred, we were definitely past the point of heavy intoxication. We were mostly sober, our minds clear enough to process what was unfolding. I remember the incident with vivid clarity to this day. If anything, the alcohol probably dulled our initial panic, allowing us to react with a strange, almost detached awe rather than outright terror. We managed to walk past her, our hearts hammering against our ribs. The moment we were a safe distance ahead, our casual stroll turned into a speed walk. We didn't run, not yet, but we were moving with a desperate urgency, putting as much distance between us and that silent, hunched figure as possible. Once we were almost out of the park, back on the familiar suburban streets, the questions finally started to tumble out. "Did you see that?" Liam whispered, his voice hushed. "Who was that?" I could only shake my head, feeling a cold dread settle in my stomach. What we had seen, or failed to see, simply didn't make sense. We returned to Liam's house, the initial bravado completely evaporated. Sleep didn't come easily that night. The image of that silent, hunched figure emerging from the deep woods kept replaying in my mind. It was only recently, when that memory resurfaced, that I decided to do some digging. I searched for Porthkerry Park legends, strange encounters Porthkerry, anything that might shed light on what we saw, and what I found sent a fresh shiver down my spine. Apparently, there's a local legend about the Witch of Porthkerry. Now, I'm not usually one for old wives' tales, but the story went beyond mere folklore. There was a real woman named Anne Jenkins, who lived in the very forest of Porthkerry Park in the 18th century. Within the park, there are indeed old, overgrown ruins. One of these, local history claims, was her very cottage. And here's the kicker. She was actually investigated for witchcraft by the Glamorgan magistrates. A real person, accused of witchcraft, living deep within those very woods, centuries ago. Now, I'm not saying the hunched figure we saw was Anne Jenkins, or that she was literally a witch. That's a huge leap, but the sheer coincidence of it all. An elderly, hunched woman emerging from the ancient woods in the dead of night, in a place with such a specific, dark local history, and her utterly unnatural, silent demeanor. It all clicked into place, creating a narrative that was far more unsettling than just a random, late-night encounter. Why was an elderly, hobbling woman out in the middle of a heavily forested park at that hour? Why the absolute silence? Why the zero acknowledgement of our presence, even when we were just feet away? I've tried to find logical explanations. Maybe she was a sleepwalker. Perhaps she was foraging for something only found at night. But none of those explanations sit right. None of them fully account for the chilling details of that encounter. The way she moved. The way she seemed to exist in a different dimension of reality than us. I often wonder if others in the area have seen her. If the Witch of Porthkerry is more than just a legend, but a recurring, unsettling presence in those ancient woods. What do you think? Was it just a strange coincidence? Or did we stumble upon something truly unexplainable? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this descent into the dark, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next.